Good morning. How are you? I have a I have a short story. I'm going to try to videotape it on my phone. The whole thing. Yeah. Wish me luck. All right. This is called the Sunday Mafia. The ghosts of Fifth Avenue are still talking, and I'm telling of certain incidences that happened there. My grandmother lived at 409 North Fifth Avenue, and my cousins lived at 407 Fifth Avenue. It was a duplex. We were two sides of the same family, all the neighbors having an interesting background, as if they were a mystery, serial, ancient society come to life on one street, Fifth Avenue. My grandparents came to this country in 1901, the turn of the 20th century, the Great Migration from Europe. My grandfather and his younger brother, whose name was Shorty, my granddad's name was Emilio. After the death of his first child, my granddad decided to come to America. My grandmom said they came to this country to escape the wars. She said there were always wars. My grandfather's reason was more personal. Their first child had died when she was 3 weeks old of SIDS. So my granddad ran away for 3 days, and when he came back, he had a different vision for his life. 1902, my grandmother and that of his family and a child in hand, whose name was America. My grandfather landed in Ellis Island in 1901 along with his brother. The two wives left still in Italy while the men worked for their passage. In 1902, my grandma and her cousin Julia landed in Philadelphia and lived there for 6 months until they moved to a small town called Royersford. They lived at the big white house on Pine Street, owned by my grandfather. The house looked down over the steel mill, Cannon Saw. My grandfather raised pigs and chickens to feed his family during the Depression. He was working at the Royersford foundry, as so many of the immigrants did. My grandmother would send his daughters down to the foundry with hot lunches of meat and gravy sandwiches every day at 12 noon. The men took time to eat their lunch with their faces smudged with smolder soot, dark and gritty and strong and physically fit to work with hot molten iron and steel. The foundryman's fate, the black lung, and face so proud to be strong enough for fate and family to care for the brood of sons and daughters. A pageant of peasantry paraded before them, the citizenry of their white bosses, their sinew undaunted and still haunted by the old-time legend of Fifth Avenue. On Sunday, the women would parade to Mass, the Catholic sanctified enclave of the peasantry and Irish royalty that followed these two dynasties of European inheritance. The coal miners' progeny, the Dutch-German miners, and the Slovakian survivors of the wars that had all escaped over the Atlantic Ocean, some without papers, some with blonde hair, some potato farmers, and some lost charmers. The Christian experiment is where they found themselves. That's what Pennsylvania is called, the Christian experiment, in case you didn't know. The European movement had a chance to show how they could deal with the mill and the meal, and the Sunday ceremonial brought from across oceans to build the spirit to dream of a family in safety, and determined to win the chalice of the quest for peace and safety, and a chance to be free, and a change from peasantry to golden streets, and the flowers of the children to grow and succeed. This Sunday mafia across from the land of the free and the home of the bold. That's the beginning of the story. It goes on.